Today's major focus is really going to be on creating the SOL toolkit. The SOL toolkit is simply going to be the information from the solicitation that you're going to keep aside on a separate Google Doc. So each time you want to work on that particular solicitation, you can always go back to reference. And everything is going to make sense as I move through the process. Now, creating the toolkit. So the toolkit is a document that contains the general information of the solicitation. So this information will look like the solicitation summary, the statement of work summary, the submission instructions, the past performance worksheet, and the price sheet. All of these you're going to actually be creating by yourself on ChatGPT. And I'm going to be breaking down that process and giving you the exact prompts that you're going to be using to create that process. Now, the solicitation summary. You're going to need a detailed solicitation summary in order to have clear details on the solicitation that you're working on. Now, the solicitation summary, you're going to use this prompt to actually create the solicitation summary. Summarize the government solicitation, including title and number, issuing agency, purpose, scope of work, deadlines, evaluation criteria. Apart from the solicitation summary, you're also going to need to create the statement of work summary. The purpose of the statement of work summary is so you can avoid situations like sending the entire solicitation to a subcontractor. This typically ends up in no response. So you're going to have to create a summary that has all the details of the statement of work in order for them to understand it quickly and give you a quote even quicker. So this is the prompt that we're going to use to create the statement of work summary. It could also be the PWS summary, whatever explains the exact details of the work that needs to be done. You're going to be using this prompt to actually build that out. Submission instructions, another very important one. Now, you want to have a clear idea on how the bid is to be submitted and to whom. I've seen solicitations where they needed the proposal to be faxed to them. I know it sounds crazy, faxing in 2024, but there's still some solicitations that have that. Or it might need to be sent by email electronically. You want to be able to find out exactly how they want the proposals to be submitted, how they want the bids to be submitted. So this is the prompt that we have here for extracting the submission instructions. Let's see. Give me a moment. Let me accept this person. Okay, wonderful. Okay. Uh, where was I? I was talking about the submission instructions. So this is the prompt. I'm just going through the slides for now. Then after that, I'm going to show you how to do this. And then past performance. Another thing that you want to be able to do is create a past performance sheet. People get really drawn out with the past performance section, but if you can create a quick past performance sheet, send it over to the subcontractors to fill out. Now, this is a bit of a slippery slope here because sometimes you're going to find that subcontractors don't want to give out their clients' information. Sometimes they're going to tell you that they want you to just take the recommendations that they have on their website. You're going to have to play this by ear and see what the dynamic is like. But I would always like you to initiate the past performance sheet by saying, hey, when I'm putting together my proposal, I would really like to have some of the recommendations from your previous customers. I'm going to send over a sheet that you can fill out to the best of your ability, and I'm going to handle the rest. So that's kind of the approach that I have there. It's a bit more, I would say it's a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's non-invasive. It's like, okay, look, I've done all this work to create this sheet for you. It makes it really easy. Fill it out to the best of your ability and have it back to me. And then you're going to also want to learn how to create a pricing sheet. And again, with the pricing sheet, it's a little bit of a slippery slope again. Why? Because depending on the kind of company you're working for, like sometimes you're going to find with blue collar workers, they're going to send you a picture of a pricing sheet of the breakdown of whatever they need to, of the pricing. They're going to send it to you in a picture. Some other companies are going to send you a digital pricing sheet. There are two strategies you have. When you get the digital pricing sheets, you can actually put that into ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to recreate it, and then you can add your profit on top. Or if they send a picture of the price to you in a breakdown, you may have to create a table with the pricing and add your pricing on top with ChatGPT. Right now, it might sound like a lot of jargon, but when I start to show you step by step, it's going to make a lot of sense. But guys, I want to head into sam.gov now and kind of show you how we're going to use these. Now, I don't know who may have the industry selection system that I created, because typically one of the ways I search for contracts is not just with NAICS codes, but I also use industry keywords. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me the NAICS code for waste management, for example. So cool, we have waste management as 562219. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create three industry keywords for this NAICS code. And I'm going to paste the NAICS code in there. So guys, we have three industry keywords. One thing you need to realize is like with waste management, for example, you have non-hazardous waste management, you have solid waste management, you have recycling, and they are all under different NAICS codes. But when you have industry keywords, what happens is that you're able to connect with adjacent industries without having to know their NAICS code, if that makes sense. You're able to connect with adjacent industries without having to know their NAICS code. So you want to generate keywords for your NAICS code. Okay, so I'm going to use waste recycling, for example. Go into sam.gov, search. Typically, when I go into search, I then go into all domains, select domain, I go to contract opportunities, I go to dates. I always want the due date to be about next month, and I'm going to add my industry keyword here. And by the way, I have to say this, these government websites are not perfectly optimized to where if I put in NAICS code into the filter, all the solicitations I would see are NAICS, are waste management NAICS solicitations. That's not really the case. You can add in waste management and then you see something for janitorial. So we are just using this as a base, a kind of proxy to organize the way we search for solicitations. But what I'm doing now is typically I don't go after sources sought. I've heard a lot of, well, you can go after sources sought, build a relationship with the uh, contracting officer, and perhaps it's going to yield a win in the future. Personally, I just go with what I see on the screen. Like when I see a sources sought, it usually says it clearly that this is not going to end up in a win. So I take my time to solicitations and updated combined synopsis slash solicitations. That's where I put most of my effort. Now, I'm not saying that sources sought are horrible. There are some advantages to sources sought. Like, for example, there's something called the rule of two. So when a sources sought is out, if two small businesses bid or make a submission to that sources sought, then it could be a small business aside. And you might have the first advantage from when that sources sought is going from being a sources sought to an actual solicitation. I'm not saying that it's completely horrible or it's a terrible idea, but I like to put my effort into combined synopsis and solicitations, original solicitations, just because I know that there is a chance of a win at the end of that. So I want to see what's going on here. This is July 17th. Today is the 6th of July. So, but it's a sources sought. So I'm going to ignore it. Here we have the 26th of July. It's an updated combined synopsis slash solicitation. Okay, containerized solid waste and refuse collection and disposal services at the Defense Supply Center, Richmond. Okay, well, I've seen a solicitation. The due date is reasonable. The notice type is reasonable. I'm going to go in. Now, typically what I'm looking for here is the set aside good for me? I'm a small business, so small business set aside is what I'm typically looking for. This goes under the NAICS code, solid waste collection. So if you remember, the NAICS code that we're using here was waste management, and this is the NAICS code. But because of the industry keyword that we generated, we got connected to an adjacent industry with a different NAICS code. So this is what I mean that when I say that an industry keyword is going to introduce you to adjacent industries without you having to type in the NAICS code or memorize the NAICS code. So when you pick a NAICS code that is for your industry, you want to have 3 industry keywords under that NAICS code that can connect you to adjacent industries. Now, I usually check the length of the description. Here we have a pretty lengthy description and we have 3 attachments. Okay, so I've done a brief scan of the body. I typically just grab this description, throw it into ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to summarize it for me. I don't need all this. I just call this the preparation process. I'm just getting the lay of the land. I'm not really doing anything serious right now. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me a detailed of the text below. Okay, so the detailed summary of the uploaded RFP information as of 5th of July 2024 includes several critical updates and clarifications related to a solicitation for commercial services. Okay, the RFP has been extended through 26th of July 2024 with ongoing updates to the performance work statement and attachments based on industry queries. Key points include 1, clarification and corrections. Okay. So the missing section B in the RFP has been addressed by directing vendors to complete the attachment 3 price sheet instead. Okay, so there's an attachment 3 price sheets that has now been added. Okay, so I see that there. Fantastic. Confusion regarding the size of containers specified in the PWS has been resolved with an update confirming the requirement of 6 cubic yards containers instead of 2 cubic yards. Okay, so we can see that some changes have already been made to this solicitation, and it's important to have this information. So typically what I do is I have a Google Doc. If you look through my docs, you just see hundreds of documents there because I keep opening new ones. So we have clarifications and corrections. Vendors are instructed to include a signature on a cover sheet for their proposal due to the absence of standard forms like SF33 or SF1449. So people are always asking, like, where do you find the SF1449? Typically, if it's not, it's typically on the first page of a solicitation document. It's typically on the first page. But in this case, there is no 1449. So you're expected to add in a signature on a cover sheet for their proposal due to the, okay, so a signature on the cover sheet. Let's look at pricing and billing. The price sheet has been updated to reflect both monthly and annual prices. Clarification has been provided that billing will be based on weights from specified containers, including front load containers and roll off ticket weights from specific tenants/commands. Okay. Operational details. Vendors are to follow specific guidelines for type of scales and legal requirements associated with them, including maintaining legal for trade status. So, guys, what I'm just doing here again, summarizing that long description. You might want to take this summary, and this is only if you have a long description. Sometimes descriptions are 4 or 5 lines. So this is description summary. I'm going to throw that in here. Right now, what we're doing is we're building out our solicitation toolkit. If there's a long description, that's the only instance where we are going to actually build out a description summary. Okay, good. Now, we haven't even opened any attachments yet. We have attachment one, which is the performance work statement. I'm opening the performance work statement, and I'm actually going to open it. I want to see how many pages it will be. It's about 31 pages. And I just take a glance, like objective, background, scope, applicable documents. Give me a moment. Let me see if I could. Documents and records, contractor furnishing equipment. So it's the typical standard. This is actually a pretty good one. It seems like they'll be very clear. So we're going to break this down, but I want to open all the attachments. This is the RFP. Let's see what this is about. Okay, is issued to solicit industry for solid waste containerization, refuse collection, and disposal services at the Defense Supply Center, Richmond, and stated tenant activities therein. Okay, so we have another pretty lengthy document here about, we're looking at about 76 pages again. I'm just opening everything up. This is the price spreadsheet. So I may be able to open this up on Sheets. So again, what I'm doing here is I'm really just getting the lay of the land. I'm just really trying to understand exactly what I'm seeing here. I'm going to upload that sheet to see what that pricing sheet looks like. It's just going to take a moment here. Okay, here we go. This is the pricing sheet. On my eyes, it looks like it's been price per unit one total. It looks like it's been filled out. Okay. See what other documents. Then this is the wage determination. So it really just tells you how much people who are going to be working in this contract must be getting paid on a minimum, including salary and benefits. So this is also an important document that's typically added. I don't need to open that because it's usually the same. But we have three documents now. I'm going to go into ChatGPT. These three documents I've downloaded, and I'm actually going to throw them into ChatGPT like so. Now, this is ChatGPT 4. Usually with ChatGPT 3.5, you wouldn't be able to upload documents like I just did. So you want to have ChatGPT 4. Now I have the three documents in there. I'm going to go back to our slides. And the first thing I want is a solicitation summary. So I'm going to just grab this prompt over here. And I'm going to add it to. Okay, so this is the title: containerized solid waste and refuse collection and disposal services. Solicitation number. All this information is important when you want to put together a proposal. So it's nice to have it in one document. You label the document as maybe the solicitation number or the government agency. So you know that each time you go into this doc, what you're looking at is the information for that solicitation, and all the information is going to be in one place. So, title, we have the issuing agency as the Defense Logistics Agency, specifically under the DLA, Installation Management at the Defense Supply Center, Richmond. Fantastic. Now, to obtain commercial services for containerized solid waste collection, diversion, and disposal at the Defense Supply Center, Richmond. Cool. Scope of work. The contractor will provide all necessary labor management supervision tools supplies, materials, equipment, and vehicles required for the scheduled and documented refuse collection, diversion, and disposal services at the DSCR. This includes the provision of 66 various sized trash collection receptacles or containers and scheduled refuse removal services to a landfill for disposal or diversion. So, guys, this is a summary of the statement of work. Just briefly, if you were asked, so what's this about? You'll be able to answer with just a few of the details here. Oh, let's see what the evaluation criteria talks about. Proposal will be evaluated based on ability to meet and exceed contract requirements concerning timeliness and quality. The quality assurance surveillance plan will rate the performance as good, fair, poor, or unacceptable based on the contractor's monthly performance, affecting the percentage of the paid invoice. So that's a good piece of information to know there. So what I'm going to do here is in this same Google Doc, this is our SOL summary. I'm the kind of person who likes to put things on a new page, even though there's a lot of space. So here I have the SOL summary on a new page here. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to get the statement of work summary, which is completely different from the solicitation summary. This is more details about the work itself. So I'm going to throw this prompt in here. And what you're going to instantly notice is that it's just going to start giving more details about the work. Now, what I want you to also do is, let's say you look at this and you feel like, I don't think it's as detailed as possible. I want more detail. I want ChatGPT to make sure it's giving me every single thing. You can ask. You can say, be sure to add all specific details about the work at hand, about the work at hand, so I can get an accurate quote from a potential subcontractor. So let's see. It does it go deeper to give us more details? Let's see what the first one was like. It said supplying 66 various size containers, including specialty lids and sliding doors where specified, place of container at placement of container at predetermined locations across DSCR. But let's see what the next thing shows us. Now it says supply 66 various size waste containers distributed across DSCR. Types of containers include, so you see now we get that little bit more detail. So two 6 cubic yard containers with specialty lids, 46 8 cubic yard containers with lids and sliding doors. Now, I even want to ask, does do these details also reflect change made in the SOL? We need to check the updates made from the performance work statement and any other amendments in the document you provide. Let's look into the latest version of the solicitation document to ensure all changes have been captured accurately. So what exactly changes here? Okay, nothing too much. What we see is that we have all the prices, all the specific yards and specific bins outlined here. Waste collection and disposal, vehicle and equipment management. With something like this, guys, what you're going to benefit from is you're actually going to have the ability to communicate the statement of work more intelligently to your potential subcontractor. You're going to sound like you know exactly what you're talking about. in terms of getting a quote from them. You're not calling and saying, hey, listen, I have this contract that I'm working on. I'm just wondering if you'll be able to give me a quote. You're going to call and you're going to say, hey, well, would you be able to supply 66 different types of bins to one of my clients? We're going to need something that is 6 cubic yards, another that's about 8 cubic yards, and you're going to be able to tell them down to the number, down to the type. What do we have here? Vehicle and equipment management, use of specific vehicles designed for waste collection, equipped with necessary modifications like onboard weighing systems and mechanical straps. All this information gives you the opportunity to ask questions, verify where your subcontractor is at in terms of meeting some of these requirements. But having all this information in bullet points really helps to make the process much easier, going back to find out what the solicitation is about. But we haven't finished building out this document. After the statement of work, you really want to know what the submission instructions are. So we're going to grab this prompt again, different prompts, and I'm going to paste that here. And you can even go ahead to throw in those documents again, just to keep ChatGPT on track with what you're doing. But it has great memory, great conscious memory for what is going on in the particular conversation we're on right now. So let's see. So page limits. So there were no explicitly stated page limits. Font size, standard readable font size, anywhere from 10 to 12. Now, I'll tell you this. Some solicitations will tell you that we need you to use Times New Roman 12 PT. The reason I added these page limits, font sizes to the prompt is so that we can get that specific information. But ChatGPT is so gracious that if that information is not there, it's going to let you know. It's not going to deceive you and say, well, the document says that you should actually have only 30 pages, only 10 pages. It's going to let you know that that information is not available. So document type proposals should be formatted as clear, organized documents, likely in PDF format for electronic submission. Okay. Now, required documents. They need a technical proposal, financial proposal, certification. Now, let's say you wanted to ask a question about certification. You can literally highlight that segment of the result of your prompt and click on this speech bubble here and ask, what are the specific certification listed in the SOL? It appears there was an issue retrieving specific information regarding required certification from the solicitation document. To find the specific certification required, you would typically look for the sections in the RFP. Okay, so I'm going to throw in those documents again. I'm going to grab this prompt again. Let's see if we get a different response in this case. Okay, based on a detailed review of the documents provided, here are the specific certifications listed. Compliance with all acceptable federal, state, and local government laws and regulations is mandatory. Okay, safety standards and compliance. What I'm seeing here, I'm not really okay. Contractors must adhere to occupational safety and health administration standards to ensure workplace safety. Some of these are really standard. I'm not really seeing anything like, okay, they need to have this particular certification. But let's see, vehicles used for waste collection must comply with federal motor vehicle standard. So any company already who is in business and is actually doing legal business in the United States for waste management and they have these vehicles, they will already meet these standards. But you want to be able to find out, you want to be able to ask questions. And having this information is what gives you the ability to ask some questions. But guys, this is going to be our Okay, this is going to be our submission instructions. So I want to find out now who who is this going to be submitted to? Because now we just want to get the information of contracting officers, if applicable. The proposal for the government solicitation should be submitted to the contracting officer. Is there any information? Is there any information in the SOL for who this will be submitted to? So anytime you see this issue retrieving the information, all you need to do is just go back into ChatGPT, throw in the document again, copy the prompt, paste it. Okay, so we have the name of the person to be submitted to. Is there an email? So they were not extracted from the provided documents. Typically, this information will be explicitly listed in the RFP documents near the section detailed the point of contact or the section specifically meant for administrative or submission instructions. To obtain the information, you should refer to the full RFP document, usually under sections labeled contracting officer. Okay, well, what I'm going to grab right now is I'm going to grab the proposal format. I'm going to grab the initial prompt that it gave me. I'm going to put it back in the chat box, asking, is there any more detail about submission outside the text below? So there were no additional details regarding the proposal submission process beyond what you've already summarized. The summary generally covers the essential aspects typically required for the government RFP submission, including proposal format, required documents, submission methods, deadline, and point of contact details. So he gave us two responses here. Let's see. Based on the information extracted so far, here are additional details about the submission process. Formatting guidelines. Ensure that the proposal is well organized and includes all necessary information as per the performance work statement. So now it's just giving us a general overview. What I wanted to do is make sure that what we have as our submission instruction, a little bit still needs to be added in terms of the contracting officer's information. But so far, we have the general overview of our submission instruction. Now, the next thing we want to create is a past performance sheet. So I'm going to grab the prompt for the past performance. I'm going to throw it in here like this. Create a blank past performance sheet template for a subcontractor to fill out. Please include the following fields. So here, what we now have is past performance sheet. I'm going to ask it to create one that can accommodate at least 3 previous clients. So now this is project 1, project 2, and project 3. Now, guys, I don't want you to ever think that whatever ChatGPT generates is set in stone. Like, oh yes, I must use this because ChatGPT generated it. When you look at the project, now we have the project title, we have the contracting agency, which could possibly just be the company name, contract number, project location, start and end date, contract value, all these things. If you see anything that you're not particularly, you think, okay, I don't need performance rating. So I'm going to highlight it, hit the speech bubble, and I'm going to say remove all performance rating. So when you do it like this, ChatGPT keeps everything else the same and follows the specific instruction that you had to remove just the performance rating. So as you can see, now we're ending in number 8, no performance rating. Now I'm going to also tell it, instead of adding text area, I will like you to leave it blank. The reason I'm saying this is because I just want them to get the form and just start to type in, as opposed to having to start removing brackets, or you can decide that you can format this in your Google Doc. But what you want is to be able to have something like this that's really easy for them to go in, type project title, worked with Scotiabank, Barkey contracting agency. I'll change that to company name. So if you want to do that, you just, again, change to company name. So this is kind of how you build out your past performance sheet, or you build out anything that you want to build out in ChatGPT. It gives you an initial response. You don't have to take it. If there's something within that response that you think, okay, well, this is not necessary, I don't need to have this, you can always highlight and get rid of that particular section. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to move this past performance sheet over here. Wait, did I skip the whole page? Okay, no, I didn't. So we have the past performance. Please complete the following section for each of the 3 past projects you have worked on. This detailed documentation will assist in evaluating your previous engagements and capabilities. And then you have this right here. Once you send it to them, they can fill out what they need to fill out and send it back to you to add to your proposal. Makes it very easy, very simple. Now, the last thing we're going to be doing is going to be a pricing sheet. Now, again, this is a bit of a slippery slope because different pricing sheets for different projects would be different. Your pricing sheet for a construction project would be totally different from your pricing sheet from like porta potties. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this prompt, and guys, this particular one will only be needed if your subcontractor is unable to send you a pricing sheet, or they send you something on a piece of paper and then they took a picture of it. You can ask them, hey, could you fill out this form? Let's make this a little bit easier for the both of us. And I'm going to throw this prompt in here, but I'm going to just ask it to modify the pricing sheet to suit the SOL attached. And what am I going to do? I'm going to attach the 2 documents again, the RFP, the PWS. Enter.